Hello. Welcome in, everyone. Very nice to see you. Okay. So just quick announcement that, last week Prashant was occupied with the Guru Purnima event, and that talk that he gave, as well as a talk that he gave on his birthday, they can both be found on the YouTube channel, the Iyengar Yoga official YouTube channel. So if you're interested in hearing those talks, they are there for all to hear. So with that, we'll turn it over to Prashantji.
Okay, namaskar, all of you. I have a question from Sarah, uh, which is sometimes I said in the class that animals and cattle have their medicated saliva. Actually, it's a marvel that their salivary glands are almost pharmaceutical complex. Depending upon different requirements, the saliva changes. It's not a one standard saliva for them. So it's a remedial saliva for different problems that animals, birds, cattle can have. And you see that they lick that part of the body which is affected. Sometimes even it can remedy minor fractures with their saliva. Many times they have seen that the dogs are limping with 3 legs, one leg lifted up. But then it treats the own leg. Pet dogs might be taken to the veterinary doctors, but otherwise they cure on their own. So their salivary glands are almost pharmaceutical complex. They turn out medicinal saliva required for different symptoms and pathological conditions. It could be cut, it could be bruised, it could be a kind of skin disease. They will turn out, it's quite natural that the saliva is turned out suitable to clinical condition and pathological condition. It's not that they do it, but they have that system within them. And therefore, we see these animals and etc. cattle using their tongue to the parts which are bruised, injured, or having any kind of disease. And in that reference, I said, we are given, the Sara says, breath. It is not actually breath. It is pavana, which I've been recently opening out in the classes. The pavana kriya has many things to offer to set right the wrong conditions, to improve the conditions, to remedy the conditions that we have. But of course, we don't have it to the extent because we have medical science traditionally from time immemorial, and we take recourse to medicines. Animals take recourse to even what they should eat in a particular problem. So they will be eating certain herbs. Suppose they have diarrhea, then it is natural instinct. They will select which herb to be taken. If it's a constipation, stomachache, or any such. So they will, it's an intuition for them to select the proper remedy for that. Because it is in very recent times, we have veterinary medicine. It is not that it has been there from time immemorial. It is development of the science, and then there are veterinary science. There is a veterinary science and we deals with the problem, and therefore we take our cattle and pet animals to a vet for treatment. So also human beings from time immemorial have been taking medicines of some pathy or the other. So human beings don't have so much and bounty because of the traditional that we have, that from generation to generation the wisdom was transmitted for particular problem, for a particular clinical pathological condition. So there would be suggestion coming that this should be taken, this should not be taken, this should be eaten, this should not be eaten, this should be eaten this way, this should be not eaten that way, when to eat something, when not to eat something, etc., etc. But yoga technology has chemical processes. So it is not just breath. It is combination of associated body system, breath system, mind system, psyche system, consciousness system, that it becomes a compound. So it is not proper to say that the breath has remedies. It is associated breath and taking assistance of body chemistry and electrochemistry, chemistry of the mind, etc. That uh, the yogis can avail of that. It's a rich resource for yogis. I don't know, many of you might be knowing it is a practice of some 60, 70 years back. Any doctor, medical practitioner would put a board called dispensary rather than hospital. At least we had this condition in India for quite some time until uh, 50s and 60s. So they would say dispensary. And each doctor, the doctor there would be having a compounder along with him. So there would be a part of his dispensary that which was a kind of cabin, and a compounder would be inside. And the compounder would prepare the medicine. Unlike today, we go to druggist and chemist. Prescriptions are given and we go and buy. So present generation people will have no idea. But this was the case even in allopathy, modern medicine, that they would have a compounder. And the doctor would prescribe to the compounder as to what kind of compound should be given. So he would mix up so many chemicals and he would prepare a compound which should be a medicine for the patient. He would also give some pills and some powder, keep some salt, was quite standard practice. Because the person who is not well basically should not get constipation, that would aggravate the problem, the disease, etc. So Epsom salt is a mild laxative. And therefore, usually we would have this, a liquid medicine in a bottle, maybe pills, and a powder. So that would be compound, and one would be giving that was called compounder. Now this is gone. This is out of practice now. The doctors just write down the prescription, and you are supposed to go to druggist and chemist and medical shop, medicine shop, and buy the medicine, standard medicine, and take it. So even in allopathy, the doctors would prepare the medicine. Now today the doctors don't prepare medicines on their own. They, they study pharmacology in their medical education, and therefore they have to just prescribe the medicine, not prepare the medicine. So allopathic doctors in India, I don't know in your country, it might be still back, that doctors prepare the medicine by the compound. And in Ayurveda, who is called Vaidya, would be preparing the medicines. He would go to forest, he would go to orchards, etc., and collect whatever herb is required, whatever what is called as kashta aushadhi, one aushadhi. So he would collect all those things, and he would come and prepare medicine. In Ayurveda, we did not have what we have today as standard medicine, which are manufactured by the manufacturers. So we have certain pharmaceutical setups who prepare Ayurvedic medicine, and their standard medicines, they are prepared, they are bottled, and then we buy them and we consume them. But this was not the classical practice, because the preparation would depend upon the patient. The doctor would decide what should be the compound, what should be the proportion, what should be the dosage, etc. And he would prepare the medicine and give it, which is now no longer practiced even in Ayurveda. Factory made medicines are available these days. So even Ayurvedic practitioners, some of them have their own factories to prepare their medicines, and then it is some standard medicine and it is administered. Maybe dosages will change between a child or a teenager and adult and old, etc. But the medicine is same, or maybe little difference in potency, like we say mg, zero point 0.5 mg, uh, 1 mg, 1.5 mg, 2 mg, etc. That we get calibrations of medicines. But in to a great degree, the physicians were preparing medicines. And so it would be customized. And let me give you an information. Even usually they would be family physicians. Now we don't have concept of family physician. We have concept of specialist. We go to a specialist. It sounds logic. We had earlier, even in allopathic practitioners, they were our family physicians. So they knew family background, they knew economic status, economic standard, and accordingly they would prepare and give the medicine. Now today, even a very poor person who is fighting hand to mouth is prescribed medicine which where he has to spend from his nose. The medicine becomes so expensive, and family physicians also know the family background, the ethnicity, ethnic culture, family culture, habits of the family, and the medicine would be considering that to prepare a dosage for a patient. Now, today, you go to a specialist, he doesn't know your economic standard, he doesn't know your social standard, whether a pavement man goes to him with a complaint of stomachache, or a very affluent, richest man of the town goes for stomachache. The medicine doesn't change generally. But family physician concept was there. And in Ayurveda, let me tell you, this will be just information to you. Suppose I go to a physician with a particular complaint, I got stomachache, some stomach problem, some spine problem, some back problem, etc., etc. The Ayurvedic physician has to consider the astrological side as well. So he was also familiar with the astrological map of the chart of the patient, or he would ask for it. and when to pluck the herb. It depended upon the astrological chart of the person. This is classical Ayurveda. Today it will be just an information or perhaps something which is outdated. So when to pluck the herbs and when to prepare the medicine, it was what we call as muhurtam, a propitious time. It was very important in classical Ayurveda. Now in branded medicine, they just are produced in batches. Then no correspondence to a propitious time. While in classical Ayurveda, they were considering. So I have a particular astrological chart. I have a symptom. Another person has the same symptom. He goes, but the medicine would change because his astrological chart changes. So this might be weird for modern generation. This might be strange, impracticable for modern generation. We don't just want proper things, we want practical things, practicable things. Sometimes the things are proper, but then not practicable. So we say, no, I will not consider. We want it to be practicable. So what is more important is practicable rather than suitable. Practicable rather than proper. So these are the dynamics of present society, life in present society. Anyway, the medicines were prepared considering the family background, considering the zodiac sign of a patient, and that would decide when to pluck any herb or whatever, and when to prepare the compound. Again, this might be weird for you, but this was practiced even just about little over 100 years back. One of the namas of Vishnu Sahasranam is Aparajita. It is one of the 1000 names, Aparajita. The practice was that if the physician is plucking the medicine, going to forest or whatever and plucking the medicine, he would utter the mantra Aparajitaya Namaha, Aparajitaya Namaha, Aparajitaya Namaha. Aparajita means invincible. Undefeatable, undefeatable. The one who is undefeatable person is called Aparajita. So Vishnu Sahasranam, one of the namas is Aparajitaya Namaha. And this name would be repeated by the physician while collecting material for medicine, for preparing medicine. Now today is all factory made, machine made. So today, therefore, it might sound weird, but in classical time, that was the case. Anyway, the compounds were prepared, customized considering the person's astrological chart, family background, economic status, culture. Now, many times the patient is a vegetarian patient. The doctors don't consider it. They say there's a medicine, you have to take it. It may not be vegetarian medicine at all. So today, it's therefore not practicable. It's gone out of fashion. But the physician would consider whether the family is vegetarian or non-vegetarian or vegan. And then what medicine to be given was decided by that condition. So also family background, social background, astrological background. So it seems to be very complicated today for our life, by the dynamics of the life that we have today. It seems to be impracticable. But it was not impracticable in certain era. And our era will also change. So what was practiced earlier can come back. Today it may not be suitable. Anyway, coming to the question here, it is body chemistry, electrochemistry. I have often said that we are a chemical complex, and our processes are not physical processes, which seem to be physical processes in our eyes. Harden, tighten, straighten, stretch, elongate, pull, push, muscle, bone, tissue, tendon, cartilages, skeletal, muscular. It seems to be very, very, very physical because we refer to only physical matter of the body. While, as a matter of fact, the properties of all body matter are chemical properties. The properties of all body matter, be that soft tissue or hard tissue, bone or muscle or skin, the properties are chemical. We are constantly turning out skin. Not that we are born with one skin and the same skin is there until you die. So all matters of the body are renewable. They are renewed time to time, time to time. Something is renewed in matter of days, something is renewed in matter of weeks, something is renewed in matter of months. So there are different time periods, but we have this renewable body matter. So that means the body is manufacturing the body matter. Skin is manufactured, muscles are manufactured, bones are manufactured. Not that we have it. So we are enormously chemical beings. We are a chemical complex. And in yoga technology, those who are yoga scientists or yoga technologists, they know that these are chemical uh, kind of compounds, body, mind, breath, senses working together. They are all chemical property wise, essentially, quintessentially. And then with regards to the breath as well, the breath is not just inhalation, oxygenation, exhalation, decarbon exhalation. Because we don't just inhale and exhale. As a natural arrangement, for some of you who have read some of the texts of yoga and the text which I wrote, Introduction to Text of Yoga, therein we are told that our breathing alters between Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. Modern science has no clue. Now, what is Ida, Pingala, Sushumna? It is solar, solar, and transcendent or combination. Now, solar means it is a chemical, it has a chemical property. Lunar has a chemical property. Combination has another chemical property. The transcendent has another chemical property. So the breath has a chemistry. Modern science just goes by breath rate. They just check the breath rate. While it is a natural arrangement that sometimes our breathing will be of solar, solar channel, sometimes it will be of lunar channel, and sometimes it will be combination, sometimes it will be transcendent. So the students of yoga should know this. Now these are having certain chemical properties and chemical variants. Solar breathing will be radically different than lunar. The shunya breathing will be radically different than the two, or the combination will be different than the two. So these are all chemical processes where modern science has no clue. Whether it's right nostril, left nostril, they don't see that it's a chemically different breath. And I many times said, why there are two holes? If the breath has to be going through a hole, it could be one hole. Why two holes? So Ida Pingala Sushumna concepts tell us about the chemistry behind the breath. The chemical profiles of the breathing will be changing between Ida Pingala Sushumna. Then, further, sometimes we know that it is right nostril breathing going on, sometimes left nostril breathing going on, and we can alter it also. If the breathing is right nostril, it can be altered. If the breathing is left nostril, it can be altered. If there is a technology to alter the breathing, otherwise it is naturally going on. It goes on uh, changing between solar, lunar, or Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. Then there is another natural arrangement in our system is that in 1 hour, we will have a cycle of 5 elemental breathing. Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. Now, these are different chemical properties. Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. And there is a natural arrangement that there is a wheel which moves in 1 hour to come back to original elemental breath. So now suppose this Prithvi is going on. So it will change after 15, 17, 18, 20 minutes. It will go on changing after 10, 12 to 15 minutes. Different durations are there. So it will become Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash, and again Prithvi. And that again Prithvi is matter of 1 hour. Now this is a natural arrangement by the archetypal mind behind our embodiment. So the chemical properties of 5 elements is one class to be considered. It will chemically breath will change between Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. But there is a subset. Ida, Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash will be different than Pingala, Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. And Sushumna will be further different, Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. So these two wheels are getting coordinated. The Ida, Pingala, Sushumna and Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash, and therefore is a very complex entity, the breath. In one of the very recent YouTube releases, which is for you, unfortunately, it is in Marathi. I've said the breathing depends upon physical act, physical function, physical condition, physical state. For each of these, there is corresponding breathing pattern. So also the mind, mental state, mental function, mental condition will change the breath. When you are happy, it is one kind of the breath. As against when you are angry, your breath while you are excited is one kind than when you are depressed. So we are enormously chemical complex, which present a common man or even specialist medicos have no clue at all. So myriad chemical processes are in place and can be in place with the help of yoga technology. So the questioner had a simple thing like a pain somewhere, a pain, a catch and spray. So the combination, the compound turned out by body, mind, breath, sense, psyche, consciousness systems would be medicinal. Like as I said, in case of dog or cat, they don't transform, they don't change, or they don't handle dabble with salivary gland. It's a natural process that the salivary gland will have different um, emissions in the mouth suitable to pathological condition. So in yoga, they will work in tandem and they will work as compounders. You don't have to become a compounder. They will become compounders and they will turn out suitable breath for a symptomatic condition such as somewhere pain. You are doing static poses and you have got pain in the waist. So with the composite collective dynamics, integrated dynamics, we have a compounder within who will work and turn out necessary chemical properties required. There is no technology as such, like pharmaceuticals, that if you have this problem, then do this kind of breath, etc., etc. Because it is a composite and community activity, the community activity will have its own intelligence. And then they work, when they work for each other, they have different intelligent quotient with which they will work. Anyway, I have said in that it's a short video, 2.5 minutes, where I said that your body actions, body condition, body state, and mind condition, mind state, mind functions, there is corresponding breathing. So breathing changes, it's a very, very, very fluid mechanism which has solid state changes. It doesn't take time. If you are angry, the breath will be angry breath in a solid state. It doesn't take some time. So the system is so fluid that the changes are solid state. It will be little difficult for physics minded people because they think these are two opposites, fluid and solid, fluid and solid, fluid state and solid state. But this is archetypal mind, it's marvelous creation that the system of mind or system of breath is so fluid that there will be solid state changes, immediate changes without lap time, real time changes. So, volume of breath, I've many times explained, volume of breath is not just the volume in terms of milliliters or liters. Chemical properties are different of normal inhalation to a deeper inhalation. It's not just the volume. Now, at the moment, I've got $10 in my pocket. It can become $100. It can become $1,000. So it's just increase in volume of money, units of money. So I had $1, then became $5, then became $10, then became $100, then became $1,000. It can happen by accumulating money and putting in my pocket. Chemically, they are not different, whether it is $1 or $5 or $10 or $100 note, currency note. Chemically, there is no difference. But in case of breath, volume, there is a difference in chemical changes in chemical properties. That's why I said yoga is an educative subject. We must try to get educated to the extent we can get educated. But later it is all like autopiloting. You cannot be interfering with that process. But to the extent possible, you must become literate about. So we are chemical complex and there are myriad chemical processes taking place, changing from time to time. Let me tell you, if you are hungry, you have one kind of breath. You are dead hungry, damn hungry. It's one kind of breath, chemically. If you are sumptuously eaten, it is different chemical breath. Because the breath has to work for your digestion. So the breath will work in one way when you are fasting, you are hungry, you are waiting for food to be eaten. Appetite has gone up. You are waiting for the food to be gobbled. So it is one kind of breath. After some time, when you have eaten sumptuously, then chemically the breath is different. It's not just breath rate. Because the breath works for every function of body. If you are hungry, body functions in one way. If you have eaten sumptuously, body functions in another way. If you have eaten the alkaline food, body functions in one way. If you have eaten acidic food, body functions in another way. And the breath will fall in place. It doesn't matter for you whether you have quenched your thirst with apple or mango or banana or chips or pasta pizza. You can quench your thirst in any way. But the breath will be corresponding to intake, whether you have eaten pasta pizza or whether you have eaten apple or whether you have eaten orange or whether you have eaten mango or banana. Breath will chemically change because it has to work on whatever you have eaten. It could be banana, orange, apple, mango, or pasta pizza or chips, whatever. So it's a marvelous entity. That's why I say yoga is enormously educative subject. Myriad chemical processes are there for every state of body, every state of mind, every activity of body, every activity of mind. Suppose I am climbing up the hill. It's a one chemical property of breathing. On the other hand, I am climbing down the hill. It is another chemical property of the breathing. Whereas it might be said that your breath rate, which has gone to 200 while you are climbing up, and again it has gone to 200 while you are climbing down, maybe the breath rate will not change, but the breathing process changes because it is different. One proposal to be climbing up the hill, up the stairs, down the hill, down the stairs. And therefore, these are myriad processes. So you require correction, you require improvement, you have to mitigate, you have to have assuage on certain conditions. So the breath, the combination, the compounder will take care. Therefore, we have to see that we encourage composite activity. They will take care. Your petty intelligence, empirical intelligence cannot be identifying. It will not be even have a pathological reading properly. How it can be having a prognosis? If it does not diagnose properly your condition, what kind of prognosis is available? So yoga has its own marvel. That's why we say yoga is a persona. We don't say yoga is a dead art or inanimate science. Like your physics is inanimate science, your chemistry is inanimate science. But for us, these vidyas are personas. They are, therefore, we can, if we offend them, it will recoil. If we respect them, it will be bountiful, it will be endowment. That's how we do our vidyabhyas. We don't consider it that it is something inert and then, because in our culture, suppose we place our foot on a piece of paper, in other cultures, they don't bother about it. While in our culture, we have a supplication, we do namaskar because the paper is an instrument of knowledge, and then my foot has fallen on it. Or while we are walking, our leg touches somebody else, we don't just say sorry. We don't just say sorry. So we have a gesture. We have a gesture where we say that it's a like beg a pardon in English, you say. So it is something like that. We beg for being pardoned by a gesture. Sorry is just a articulation. Maybe the tone, you will say in particular suitable tone, sorry. Maybe the person will oblige. But if you have done something and you're sorry, person will not take it. Sorry, person will not take it. So it has to be said in particular way. Whereas we have a gesture, like we say namaskar. We do namaskar if our leg has touched someone. If our leg has touched Saraswati, who can manifest in a paper, book. Anyway, so the point is, we are dealing with marvelous combinations of chemistries on astronomical scale. We cannot decipher totally and completely, yet we must have some kind of education to understand Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. They each can be Prithvi, Ap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. Then each can be Panchavayu. Now, this all you get to know in yoga technology. So, you know, Udanic breathing, Pranic breathing, Samanic breathing, Apanic breathing. So, these are different chemical properties. So, anyway, the thing is that the breath is actually our breathing is not to give solutions to our physical problems, anatomical problems, corporeal problems. It is actually for our higher problems. I don't know how many of you have really understood. Yoga is not a pathy. Yoga is not a pathy. Like you have allopathy, homeopathy, this pathy, that pathy. For pathological conditions, we consider a disease which is tackled by adhyatma or spiritual science or spiritual pursuit. It is called bhava rog. Bhava rog. Rog means disease. You can have sharir rog, you can have manasik rog. So you have disease of body, disease of mind. Rog means it's a vernacular word, not English word. Rog. Rog means disease. It can be physical or mental. But spiritual sciences deal with what is called as bhava roga. It is a disease because you have taken manifestation. Having come into existence, you have certain problems. Then you have problem. Another meaning of bhava is bondage. You are bound to someone, or you are creating a bondage with something and someone. So the bondage kind of limitation, delimitation is also disease. Bhava means to take birth. Bhava means to uh, have certain discomfort and diseases which are on account of our allegiances, alliances, associations, and shackles. So bhava bandha, bhava roga also means includes bhava bandha. Because we are bound to someone, we have certain problems as much as we have advantage. So the yoga pathology actually works for Bhavaroga and Bhavabandha. Incidentally, it works for physical diseases, mental diseases as a side product, side effect. That's why I said yoga doesn't do, is not a health science, but yoga gives you health. Yoga is not a fitness science, but it gives you some fitness. Process of yoga give you fitness. It doesn't mean yoga is for fitness. The modern world has to be clear about this particular illusionment that they have. That if you do yoga, you will keep fit. Yoga is for fitness. If you are unfit, do yoga, and yoga will keep you fit. Yoga is not for fitness. Fitness is a byproduct of yoga, yogic process, yogic life, yogic culture, and not just yoga that it will offer you that. Yoga has an incidental factor or a side effect of it, byproduct of it. Health is one of the byproducts. So there are so many classifications of breaths for a kriya, varna kriya, prana kriya, nama kriya, etc., etc. Mind-boggling. It's really mind-boggling realm, and therefore you must be little enthused, little educated. If you are uneducated, then it's very, very complicated and complex. And therefore, you must have your education in place. Then it is fascinating. You will have so many revelations. Okay. Um, so I think that should be enough of the answer to that question. I had another question, which, with regards to what I used to say sometimes, maybe in the recent classes as well, last week classes, awesomeness. It's not just doing asanas. Asanas must have awesomeness, because all of you will agree if I say that we will get a circus girl who is 14, 15 years of age. She will do all asanas better than any one of us. Is that right? She will do any asana better than any one of us because she is a circus girl. She is 14, 15 years of age. So she does asana. And therefore, just getting an asana is not sufficient. There must be awesomeness. So somebody had this question with regards to what is this awesomeness? And with reference to that, I used those five padarthas, five aspects. Somebody wanted the clarification. It's a reminder for you, for your or a revision. Many of you might have forgotten. Dravya, guna, karma, samanya, vishesha, samavaya. Now, this is from a classical text of Indian classical physics. Because the physics deals with things. This is a thing. This is a thing. This is a thing. Now, if it is a thing, how the scientists will try to investigate, analyze, and have a realization, revelation with regards to it. So we have material classification, gaseous matter, solid matter, liquid matter, etc. So physicists will be dealing with the three matters: solid, liquid, gaseous. And there is something called physical chemistry, that is, what is physical will have a chemical formula: a wood, iron, gold, silver, metal, air. Whether it is liquid matter or gaseous matter or solid matter, there is something called physical chemistry. And therefore, there are chemical nomenclatures or technical nomenclatures to things. So things are probed with 5 dimensions. One is dravya, what is the substance? Guna, what is the quality? Karma, what is the function, purpose, manifestation? Samanya, generics. Vishesha, specifics. Samavaya, inherent. Now, today we will not go into that, those 5 factors, because we don't have much time. But to give little enunciation to the answer that is going to come maybe in the next session, is that asan is a thing. And then it must have asanness. Now, the other day I gave this example. Somebody had this question while we were exchanging thoughts and views, and somebody had a question. I said, you know, a botanical rose. Botanical rose. You know, it's a beautiful flower, gentle, tender flower, wonderful fragrance, etc., etc., bewitching beauty, etc., bewitching odor, etc. So we know that rose. So that botanical rose has rose nest. A botanical rose has a rose nest. But you can have other roses, paper rose, a plastic rose, a cloth rose made of some material. So perhaps it can be more beautiful than botanical rose. Somebody will draw a rose on a paper, and perhaps you will say this is better than real rose. Beautiful, botanical, more beautiful than botanical. It's more bewitching than botanical, but it lacks roseness. So what we call as artificial rose and natural rose, artificial rose lacks the roseness. It might be looking alike, it might be looking similar to rose, it might be looking better than a rose, but it lacks roseness. So the roseness is important in rose. It should not be just a rose. Like it cannot be just an asan, because a circus girl, 14 years, 15 years girl, will do better than any one of us do it. That doesn't mean we should opt for it and give accolades to it, because basically it is lacking the asanness. What is the point in a rose which is artificial? It lacks the roseness. So roseness is important in rose. Appleness is important in apple, because you can have apple turned out of some material, artificial apple. It perhaps looks better than natural apple that you get in a marketplace. So out of sand, fruits are turned out. They look very beautiful, bewitching, but they don't have odor. They don't have something to eat. They don't have substance to eat. So they lack mango-ness, apple-ness, banana-ness, because they are artificial. So you can make plastic mango, plastic banana, plastic apple. It will lack apple-ness, mango-ness, banana-ness. So similarly, an asan should have asanness. Asan not having asanness is actually meaningless. And therefore, what is this asanness? So some probing should tell us that it has something which is called, it is a basic substance, that it is there. Dravya. Then it must have certain qualities. Guna. It must have certain karma. It must have certain generic qualities, certain specific qualities, and something inherently there. like real fire and artificial fire. Artificial fire looks like flames, but it's not fire. The real fire will burn if you try to touch it. While that artificial fire will not burn you, it's a light effect. And you, as if it's a flame, you see as if it's a form of flame, but it's not fire, it looks like fire. So fieriness, wateriness, appleness, mango-ness, that that ness is important. So also in asan, there should be asanness, because asanas are part of Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, the means are Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Sannirodha. So asana should turn out Abhyasa component, Vairagya component. Yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So it must have some basic components, potentials for Chitta Vritti Nirodha. A circus girl does, there is no microscopic trace of Chitta Vritti Nirodha because there is no asanness. But her asana is photogenic. You will like to take photograph and blow it and put it on the wall because she has done wonderful Vrishchikasan, wonderful Natarajasan, but lacking asanness. So asanness is important. So today just we'll make a conclusive statement. Now it's not that we have to investigate, take it to lab and test it, whether all those things are there. Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samanya, Vishesha, Samavaya. Generally, asanas should give you ethos where the Rajoguna is mitigated, Tamoguna is mitigated, Sattva is bloomed and blossomed. Therefore, Sattva manifestations are rampant, which I often shoot at you: tranquility, neutrality, virginity, sublimity, purity, quality, sanctity, sanity, equity, quantity, equilibrium. Now, that's how we can identify, yes, there is an asanness. If that is not there, that means asanness has a deficiency or absence. So certain qualitative aspects, inherent aspects. Vrishchikasana doesn't have inherently exercise to the spine, but it has inherently these qualities which should be there. So for us to gauge, we can have a test of whether we have asanness in what we do. It is going by the criteria how far we have tranquility, neutrality, virginity, sublimity, purity, piety, sanctity, sanity, equity, equanimity, equilibrium. And there you will trace that it is sattva, guna. There you will trace that there is abhyasa potential. It can be traced. Abhyasa potential can be traced in such qualities. Vairagya potential can be traced in such qualities. They are inherently there. Vairagya is inherently there. Abhyasa is inherently there. Yoga is inherently there. Chitta Vritti Nirodha is inherently there. To whatever extent. So anyway, this was the question on asanness. So just it was enunciation to that. And so you know what is in offing in next session. So namaskar all of you. Thanks for your patience.
Namaskar.
Thanks for
Can I ask you to repeat the 5 dimensions, please?
No.
But slowly. I have
mention three.
karma, the 5 dimensions.
Oh, 5. Guna, that is it's a dravya. Dravya means the substrate substance, basic substance. Like you say, this is wooden, this is of iron, this is of gold, this is of mud, this is of earth. So that's a dravya. Material, basic material dravya. Guna, qualities. Each material substance will have certain qualities which are relevant to it, which emanate from it, which are engendered by it. So that is called guna. Then comes karma. They have karma. What gold does and what rock does and what Iron does different functions. Karma. So guna, karma, samanya. There are certain generic characteristics, that is samanya. There are certain specific characteristics, which is called vishesha, and something inherent. So dravya, guna, karma, 3. Samanya, vishesha, samavaya, another 3. So 3 plus 3, 6.
Thank you.
Okay. And one of the Indian philosophies is just dedicating to one of the 5 padarthas, 6 padarthas, vishesha. And that's why it is called Vaisheshik Darshan. It tries to work on the specific of any matter, specific of any substance. And therefore, it's a philosophical system by itself. And therefore, it's called Vaisheshik Darshana. Vaisheshik is inflection of Vishesha. Anyway, thank you for giving opportunity for me to let out something which
Thank
otherwise
you.
I cannot get out.
Namaskar, Prashant ji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, what fantastic
Yeah.
session
Thank
this
you.
was, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
brilliant
Thank
you so much.
session. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Prashant.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.